To anyone looking from the outside, my life appeared perfect. As the youngest chief growth officer at a major Silicon Valley tech company, every day brought exciting new challenges. My mornings were spent in passionate discussions about new projects with our brilliant team members from around the world, while my evenings were occupied with client dinners at upscale restaurants. It was an environment where I could fully utilize the knowledge and experience I'd gained from my Stanford MBA. I'm Rachel Morgan, 32 years old. I thought I was one of the lucky women who could chase her dreams under the bright California sun. Life had become even more precious since I started carrying this little life inside me. I'm 5 months pregnant with a girl. Sitting in my office overlooking San Francisco Bay, I would occasionally stroke my belly and think, the world you're coming into will be wonderful. I met Daniel 3 years ago at a Silicon Valley investors conference. At 35, he commanded the room while giving a presentation as the CEO of his family's asset management firm, Morgan Investment. I was instantly captivated by his intelligent and gentle nature. What started as casual conversation during a coffee break evolved into dinner at an upscale Italian restaurant that evening. Our relationship progressed as rapidly as a Silicon Valley startup. After 6 months of dating, we decided to get married. The wedding was held at a prestigious hotel overlooking San Francisco Bay. On that day, Daniel's mother, Christine Morgan, embraced me as if I were her own daughter. She was a formidable businesswoman who had grown Morgan Investment as CEO since losing her husband 10 years ago. At first, everything was perfect. Daniel wholeheartedly supported my career, and I respected his work. We enjoyed an ideal newlywed life in our home in an upscale San Francisco suburb. But changes came gradually. Every weekend, we found ourselves spending time at Christine's mansion. In that estate with its vast gardens, Christine played the perfect hostess while slowly beginning to interfere in our lives. "Rachel, it's wonderful that your annual salary is $450,000. But that's more than twice what Daniel makes." Such casual remarks began to create an uncomfortable atmosphere. Christine was traditionally minded. In her world, wives should support their husbands and put family first. Her need to control Daniel often went too far. Then came the decisive turning point. The day we found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed. The new life was supposed to deepen our bond. However, Christine's reaction was unexpected. Behind her superficial words of congratulation, her eyes were cold. From then on, our weekend family gatherings became as frigid as a frozen lake. "Are you planning to continue working during pregnancy? What will you do after giving birth? You don't understand traditional family values, do you?" Such comments kept coming my way. But what hurt the most was Daniel's change. My husband, who had once been proud of my career, gradually began to align with his mother's values. Our conversations at home grew sparse, and he even began avoiding discussions about my work. Still, I believed we could overcome this situation. At 5 months pregnant, I was exploring new ways to shape our family while nurturing the little life growing inside me. That's when Christine suddenly proposed a family trip to the Grand Canyon. At the time, my work was reaching a crucial phase. The customer prediction system using artificial intelligence that I'd been working on for years had finally come to fruition. This project had been my focus since becoming CGO, involving late-night team meetings, video conferences with engineers worldwide, and countless iterations of data analysis and improvements. All that effort was finally about to bloom. With the introduction of the new system, our customer retention rates showed remarkable improvement, and our stock price soared accordingly. The digital displays lining San Francisco's financial district glowed with green arrows showing our company's rising stock prices day after day. Silicon Valley's rising star, my name suddenly appeared on the covers of business magazines. Next to my photo, showing me in a deep blue power suit, ran the headline, "Female Leader Pioneering the Future of Technology." My social media followers quickly exceeded 200,000, and speaking requests and media interview requests flooded in daily. Messages from young women overflowed with passion and hope as they sought to forge their own paths. "You're a beacon of hope for many women, especially those struggling against traditional values." Those words from a tech media interviewer still resonate with me. Her eyes had brimmed with empathy and solidarity. However, this success only deepened the tensions at home. One weekend, while spending time at Christine's mansion as usual, she unusually asked to speak with me alone in the reception room overlooking the garden. In that space surrounded by antique furniture, only the ticking of the clock punctuated the heavy atmosphere. "Rachel, your career success is wonderful." Christine began speaking in a calm tone while elegantly lifting an expensive teacup. The soft afternoon light streaming through the window illuminated her platinum hair. "But as a Morgan family wife, don't you think there are more important things? Our family line has always valued family bonds above all else." I felt the pressure behind those words acutely. The sharp intent lurking behind her calm tone pierced my heart. "Especially now, you should be putting your baby first. I want you to understand traditional family values. In our time, family was everything." It sounded less like a suggestion and more like an order. The cold light in Christine's eyes clearly revealed her intent. Around this time, a major problem arose at Daniel's company. Morgan Investment lost a crucial client. A major pension fund they'd worked with for 20 years suddenly terminated their contract. The cause was Daniel's investment misjudgment. He had misread market trends and caused losses in the hundreds of millions of dollars. From that day on, my husband rapidly lost confidence. His gentle nature receded, and he became irritable over trivial matters. He spent more time locked in his study drinking whiskey late into the night. And proportionally, he began agreeing more with his mother's opinions. "Mother's right. You should think more about our family. The balance in our marriage has completely collapsed." One night when I came home late, my husband's eyes looked hollow and unfamiliar as he said these words. The mountain of papers on his desk and the falling stock charts on his screen told the story of his anxiety. It was in this context that the Grand Canyon trip was proposed. Christine strongly recommended a family trip for the three of us, calling it one last memory before the birth. As she spread out photo books of the Grand Canyon in her mansion's dining room, there was something unnaturally intense about her enthusiasm. "Let's strengthen our family bonds while viewing the magnificent scenery. The sunset from Eagle Point is especially spectacular. It will surely be a memory that lasts a lifetime." Contrary to these words, Christine's eyes seemed to harbor different emotions. It was a sharp gaze, like a bird of prey eyeing its target. However, this trip coincided with important work commitments. I had already scheduled a live stream product launch from the Grand Canyon. Announcing our innovative product against the backdrop of magnificent nature, it was an unparalleled opportunity for my career. A perfect chance to share a new challenge with my 200,000 followers. "Don't worry. I'll help with all the live stream preparations. I understand how important your work is." Surprisingly, Daniel showed understanding for my work. In fact, he became even kinder than usual. Making breakfast, listening intently to my work concerns, preparing smoothies, helping me get ready for work. But something felt off. It felt like the excessive kindness of someone consumed by guilt. My husband's sudden change in attitude. My mother-in-law's pushy trip proposal. And my intuition was sending warning signals. Deep down, I felt something was definitely going wrong. However, at this point, I couldn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. On the day we departed for the Grand Canyon, I was simply preparing for what I thought was a family trip. As I folded clothes into my suitcase, I looked forward to seeing the magnificent views. Gently stroking my belly carrying our new life, my husband said, "This will surely be a wonderful memory. A trip we'll never forget." At that time, I had no way of knowing the true meaning behind those words. No way to understand the unnatural shadow in my husband's eyes or the darkness lurking in my mother-in-law's smile. Christine's private jet stood on the taxiway at fog-shrouded San Francisco International Airport. The word Morgan proudly gleamed on the white fuselage. Such thick fog. As I boarded, I felt something ominous. However, focused on preparing for the live product launch, I couldn't pay enough attention to that premonition. Smartphone, backup mobile battery, wireless microphone, and lighting equipment. I checked all the equipment repeatedly. "Don't worry, Rachel. Everything's perfect." Christine elegantly settled into a lounge chair, adjusting her expensive cashmere shawl. There was something calculated about her smile. Daniel seemed restless even on the plane. He couldn't stay seated, pacing back and forth in the lounge. He ordered whiskey repeatedly, concerning the flight attendant. "Daniel, are you all right?" When I asked, he froze for a moment. "Oh, yes, just feeling a bit sick." Despite his words, cold sweat beaded on his forehead. After about 2 hours of flight, we arrived at Flagstaff Airport in Arizona. From there, we took a chartered helicopter to the Grand Canyon. The Great Canyon glowed reddish-brown under the summer sun when viewed from above. After checking into the hotel, we headed to the observation deck. The Grand Canyon Skywalk, a horseshoe-shaped glass observation deck jutting out 4,000 feet above the ground. Dusk was approaching. It was past 6 p.m., and the sun was gradually sinking toward the western horizon. Most tourists were preparing to leave. Only a few people besides us remained on the observation deck. 30 minutes until the broadcast starts. I began my final equipment check. I turned on my smartwatch's GPS function and checked the battery level. Everything was perfect. The canyon walls, illuminated by the setting sun, gradually turned a deeper red. The wind began to strengthen, causing slight vibrations in the observation deck's glass. "Shall we begin?" The clock showed 6:30 p.m. I picked up my smartphone and started the broadcast. Heart marks began floating up on the screen as viewer numbers rapidly increased. "Good evening, everyone. Finally, it's time for our new product announcement. Along with this magnificent view, our new..." That's when it happened. "This pregnant woman is useless to this family." Christine's scream suddenly interrupted the broadcast. Her eyes were filled with a hatred I'd never seen before. "Mother-in-law. What are you?" As I turned around, Daniel's face was contorted. "Mother's right. We don't need you anymore." His voice no longer sounded like my husband's. "Daniel, you're joking, right? This is..." Before I could finish my sentence, a strong force pushed me from behind. 4 hands, Christine's and Daniel's, pushed me out at once. As I lost my balance, time seemed to slow down drastically. The deep canyon beyond the observation deck's glass. The last gleam of the setting sun. My terror-stricken face reflected in the smartphone screen. And the small life moving inside my belly. I'm sorry. I fell into the darkness, desperately protecting my abdomen with both hands. The sound of cutting through wind. My heartbeat. The observation deck's lights growing distant. Just before impact with a rock ledge about 30 feet down, my body plunged into accumulated snow and bushes. The snow and branches cushioned the impact, preventing immediate death. However, intense pain coursed through my entire body. As consciousness began to fade, I noticed my smartphone was still live streaming. Comments of shock kept flowing across the screen, and viewer numbers had exceeded 10,000. And my smartwatch's GPS emergency alert system continued blinking regularly. In the darkness, I desperately thought about my baby. Live, we must live. The first voice I heard as consciousness faded was that of a young woman. This is Flagstaff Emergency Command. Fall incident at Grand Canyon Skywalk. Pregnant woman in danger. As I later learned, viewers of my live stream had made emergency calls en masse. The Arizona Emergency Call Center received over 100 calls within just a few minutes. Confirmed on video. Attempted murder. Please hurry. Pregnant woman has fallen. Sending GPS location. Location is Skywalk Observation Deck. Husband and mother-in-law pushed her. Thanks to the viewer's accurate information, rescue teams arrived at the scene with remarkable speed. I regained consciousness when I heard rescue team members' voices nearby. Rachel. Can you hear me? Someone carefully examined my body surrounded by snow and bushes. A young ranger wearing a bright red helmet came into view. The baby, the baby. Those were the first words I could manage. Vital signs are stable. Fetal heartbeat confirmed. I felt slight relief at the ranger's words. The Grand Canyon National Park maintained a 24-hour rescue team. Their swift response saved both my and my baby's lives. About 20 minutes after the fall, the rescue team successfully secured my body and transferred me to a rescue stretcher. Throughout this time, my smartphone continued live streaming. Viewer numbers exceeded 50,000, and comments of concern and encouragement filled the screen. You're safe now. The helicopter is arriving. True to the ranger's words, the sound of a rescue helicopter soon approached. Its vermilion-painted body appeared in the twilight sky. I was loaded into the helicopter on the stretcher. The medical team immediately started on 4 and checked my vitals. Inside the aircraft, they used a portable ultrasound device to check the fetus's condition. Baby's heartbeat is normal. When I heard those words, tears streamed from my eyes. During the 30-minute flight to Flagstaff Medical Center, the emergency medical team continuously monitored my condition. The sunset visible through the helicopter's window no longer felt threatening, but rather like a ray of hope. Upon arrival at the hospital, I was immediately taken to the emergency treatment room. The medical team worked tirelessly to save both my and my baby's lives. It's miraculous. The snow and bushes saved your life. The attending physician's words drew sighs of relief from the nurses. By then, Footage of the incident captured in the live stream had begun appearing in news reports. The hashtag #SaveRachel spread rapidly across social media, and support for me expanded nationwide. Mother and child are both safe. The hospital spokesperson's announcement was met with an outpouring of joy on social media. I spent 3 quiet days recovering in the hospital bed. I remained fully conscious, and doctors were amazed at my steady recovery. The baby is full of energy too. The attending obstetrician smiled while showing me the ultrasound screen. On the screen, the small life moved vigorously. Through the hospital room window, I could see Arizona's clear blue sky. The sound of dripping fluid and the regular beeping of monitors seemed to herald the beginning of a new life. And encouraging messages continued arriving non-stop on my smartphone. Your courage touched my heart. I want to share this story with people around the world. So glad both mother and child survived. The viewers were no longer mere spectators. They had become witnesses to my new life. Lying in bed, I reflected. While this event was certainly tragic, it also taught me about people's kindness and the preciousness of life. Above all, the presence of my child bravely living inside me became a great hope for my future life. Let's walk a new path together. I whispered softly while gently stroking my belly. The sunlight streaming through the window seemed to wrap us warmly in response. 1 week after the incident, morning news programs across America began with shocking headlines. Tech executives' miraculous survival from Grand Canyon fall, mother-in-law and husband's meticulously planned perfect crime revealed. Christine and Daniel were arrested at the airport just 2 hours after the incident. They had attempted to flee on a private jet, but their plan completely collapsed due to the decisive evidence from the live stream. The police investigation revealed their plan was extremely detailed. First, their reason for choosing the Grand Canyon. It's a dangerous area with over 70 reported accidents annually, particularly falls during selfie taking. Targeting sunset was also calculated. Fewer tourists, and visibility beginning to worsen. We found evidence that the victim's shoelaces had been cut, and an empty whiskey bottle was discovered in her bag. There was clear intent to make it appear accidental. The investigators' announcement drew murmurs from the press corps. However, their plan had fatal miscalculations. First, my live stream. They hadn't accounted for a business-related product launch broadcast in their murder plan. While they knew I posted on social media, they never expected a live broadcast watched by over 10,000 people. Second, my latest smartwatch. They hadn't anticipated the GPS location transmission and automatic fall detection alert system. The suspects couldn't predict that all evidence would be recorded as electronic data and instantly distributed. The cybercrime investigator remarked with irony. During interrogation, the truth behind the incident gradually came to light. Christine's motives were a complex tangle of emotions. First was jealousy of my success. For her, who had struggled to grow the company in a male-dominated society, the rise of a young female executive symbolizing the new era was unbearable. Furthermore, she feared losing influence over her son. My presence had begun to erode the control she had built over her son for years. And the biggest reason was concern about the company's reputation. Morgan Investment had suffered huge losses due to Daniel's investment misjudgment. She feared I would begin investigating to commit murder using her son to cover up that son's failures. The prosecutor shook his head while reading the indictment. Meanwhile, Daniel's confession was even more shocking. Fear of and dependence on my mother was at the root of everything. He tearfully confessed in the interrogation room. A distorted parent-child relationship where he had been forced to meet his mother's expectations since childhood, continually stripped of his right to self-determination. Add to that his feelings of inferiority due to my success. My wife's salary was more than double mine. People called me Rachel's husband, and my failure at work was caused by that pressure. The live stream footage that served as evidence went viral on social media. With viewer numbers exceeding 1 million, issues of domestic violence and maternity harassment became major topics of discussion across America. After recovering, I posted a short video message from my hospital bed. "Everyone, my baby and I are safe. I want to turn this incident into a force for changing society." That post generated an even bigger response. A year has passed since then. I've started a new life. I safely gave birth to a baby girl and now enjoy peaceful days in a new apartment. The company warmly welcomed my return and offered an even more flexible working arrangement. And unexpectedly, I found a new mission as a women's rights activist. I became involved in launching corporate domestic violence victim support programs and began giving lectures across the country. My book, Surviving the Fall, became a bestseller within a month of publication. All royalties are donated to domestic violence victim support organizations. Christine and Daniel each received 20-year prison sentences. Ironically, their perfect crime was completely exposed by technology. Sometimes I look at photos of the Grand Canyon. That deep canyon is no longer a symbol of terror for me, but represents the beginning of a new life. Hey, Emma. Let Mama tell you something. We have the power to be reborn as many times as we need. I whisper while holding my daughter. Outside the window, a new San Francisco morning was about to begin.